Is Double Dragon eating your chickens? Like, right. Oh God, I have no health.
It's going to be Xbox Blade. That's what they're going to call it.
That's a good second place to 720.
Yeah, it's going to be called Xbox Dynamic Pricing.
Right. That's going to be the name of the console. Dynamic Pricing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
just
no.
DP.
Oh, no. No.
Welcome back to the NerdNest podcast. We've got a lot. I mean, we've got so many stories that we've got the show notes already cut off halfway through because there's so much stuff to do. And on top of all of those stories, we also had like some breaking news, which has been an absolute roller coaster in the last few hours. But before we get to that, I'm going to introduce you to the other guys that are on the show, starting with our special guest, ETA Prime. How's it going, Prime? ETA Prime?
Good. How's everybody doing?
Super duper.
Good, man.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Happy to have you here. On. Before we go any further, can you just tell everybody, like, what's your channel all about?
So I do reviews, lots of handheld stuff. Started with the SBC stuff and trying to do some budget PCs, but it's real hard right now.
Yeah, it really is.
For real.
So I just noticed we can see the desk behind him that he shoots on with a little plant on it.
I love it there and everything. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
a little behind the scenes. Also, the other voices that you heard there a moment ago, we've got Carrie. What's going on, Carrie?
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Friday. Hello. It's like my victory lap. Like work is all the time, and then when Friday comes, truthfully, Thursday is still my victory lap. It's like, oh, sweet, Friday, and then it's gonna be like 60 degrees in New York come Monday. So. Things were looking up.
My students were saying, one of my students said, no, Friday.
Friday. Yeah, I could do Friday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Russ, what's going on, dude?
Nothing much. You know, I feel like this is like a whirlwind tour for us this year or over the past year where we're slowly bringing on all the guests who often I get comments that say, oh, I'm actually that guy. Like I get comments, oh, you're Tech Dweeb. Oh, you're ETA Prime. And we're slowly knocking them all out. So you can see I'm not any of those dudes. I'm just my own person. So
I don't know. We didn't see Tech Dweeb's face. So
that's true.
Yeah. You did a really good job, Russ. That was excellent.
Thank you. That was a lot of multi-camera work. Yeah.
What you don't realize is whenever we have Tech Dweeb on, Russ has special shirts where the bottom of the sleeves are Rich, last but not least, we've got Rich. What's going on, dude?
Father Bill, I am happy you are having me on today. I can't wait to hear your commandments for the Steam Machine.
All right. Well, my commandments are many, and we're going to start with, we've got former Xbox executive says that the Steam Machine is going to be PlayStation's biggest competitor. We've got a game of Place Your Bets. It's a new game that we've got on the show. The Xbox project Helix is official. Bungie asks people to not review their game yet. And EA has a Linux anti-cheat system coming. And then PlayStation might be charging you more than your friends. So we got all of that. It's crazy. Let's start with the Xbox exec says the Steam Machine will be PlayStation's biggest competitor. This is coming from Mike Ybarra. So, that guy has some pretty hot takes. Basically, he says that Sony sees Valve as the primary living room competitor, with Steam Machine launching in early 2026. Well, that's already out of date. Potentially influencing Sony's reported decision to stop porting flagship single-player games to PC. And then here's the quote. They, Sony, see the last nail in the coffin with Xbox, and the chum there hope it turns around. He was talking about PlayStation first-party games like Ghost of Yotei no longer coming to PC, according to Jason Schreier. And then he said, most important, they view Valve as a major new competitor. Valve will enter the living room and console market with the Steam Machine sometime this year, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then he said, shipping good exclusive games matters. It's not rocket science, the former Xbox executive concluded, suggesting that the age of true console exclusives may have returned. So I got two questions for you guys, and then we've got some weird Valve stuff to sprinkle in here. Do you believe that Valve Steam Machine is poised to be the primary living room competitor? And the second question is, do you think Sony's decision to stop rumored decision to stop publishing PC titles is related to the Steam machine at all? Russ, start us off. What do you think, man?
So first question, is it going to be a primary living room competitor? Yeah, I definitely see that happening. But I got to say, we'll get to this news later, but I think that the Project Helix thing has really gotten me excited for Xbox all over again. The official, hey, this is also going to be a PC. We obviously don't have all the data for it, but that leads me to think that it's not just going to be a Sony versus Valve thing at that point. I think that all three are going to be competing in their own way. As far as whether or not, not publishing PC titles, you guys probably already know just from everything I've said that I love that they were coming to PC. And so this is a big bummer for me. Whether or not it's related to the Steam machine, I hadn't really thought about that until you asked. I'd always been thinking it was an Xbox thing. And because Xbox was going PC, that's why they didn't want to have PC titles anymore. So I don't know how much of a dent Steam machine is making into Sony's. How much is the Steam machine making Sony stay up at night? I don't think much at all. If I was to say, I don't think that they are really that big of a factor. Yes, this guy is saying that this is a factor, but I don't think Sony's thinking that.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you, Russ. I don't think that the Steam machine, I wouldn't say that they don't know about it, but I would say Nintendo would say that they don't know what the Steam machine is. They don't care. They just put their head in the sand. But Sony, I'm sure that they know about it, but I don't think that they care because the people who are going to buy that system, they're either not going to play a PlayStation game anyway, or they're not going to buy a PlayStation anyway, or they already have one. It's going to be for a very specific subset of customer, and so I don't think that they are the primary living room competitor. But ETA Prime, what do you think, man?
So I agree with Russ. With the Xbox, we've had rumor that it was going to support PC games, or basically just be a PC. New Xbox coming out. We finally got the Helix name on it, and I think that's where Sony was coming from right there. And to tell you the truth, I've got a PlayStation. I haven't bought the first party games on PlayStation. I wait till they come out on PC.
Same.
And it's I don't know. I think I don't think that they're scared of the Steam machine at all.
Fair enough. What about you, Rich?
I've got mixed opinions on this. I think so. The way that Mike phrased this, Mike Ibarra phrased this in the tweet, you can kind of interpret it a few different ways. Sorry, one of them is Valve a bigger competitor to Sony than Microsoft is in the gaming space? And to me, the answer is yes. Unquestionably, Valve is a bigger competitor when it comes to video games than Microsoft to Sony. I think that is almost without question. Is Steam machine a bigger living room threat than Xbox? I think that's still very much up for debate. I expect Project Helix, even with kind of all the riffraff we've seen so far with Helix, I expect that it will sell more than the Steam machine will. I don't know that, we'll see if that actually comes true, but my expectation is that globally it's going to sell more than Steam machine. Now, Sony stopping publishing PC titles, I kind of think this is a little simpler. I think the first factor is that they didn't get as much profit as they were expecting. I think that is the first factor. I think the second factor is that they are trying, whether you agree with them or not, they are trying to protect the PlayStation brand. And that means exclusives, right? That means the way I see it, they fear that Microsoft's decision to start bringing games to PC is part of what brought Microsoft to where they are today, and they want to avoid that. So that's the second factor. Steam machine having Xbox games and having Sony games, or Xbox having Sony games, I think I wouldn't say it's not a factor. I just would say it's probably the third factor at best. That's where I would put that.
Carrie, do you think it has something to do with them just not selling very well? Or do you think it's because they don't want to see their first party games on other platforms that have other console platforms with quotes?
I think that they want to have their cake and eat it too. There was a report from some group analysts came out today that said
GameIndustry.biz report.
Yeah.
I can provide some color to that. too.
Yeah.
So yes, there was a report, and then there was an opinion piece that came after that. So there's a GameIndustry.biz report that basically says Sony's PC ports didn't do well, but that's based on the timing of those PC ports. Personally, I took issue with the way they reported this. So this is based on a Newzoo analysis. And they said the closer it was to release, the better it did. But I think the data is really skewed, right? So there are a couple ways to look at this. I think of this as three different categories. One is live service games, right? Those are ported day and date, and they have a larger PC market share than the other games. This is this first category that I'm describing. And so you can say that they have a larger market share because they were day and date, which I think is what Newzoo is basically suggesting without saying that. But more likely, they are also a larger market share because these have more synergy with PC, right? Like these being live service games. These are games that you want to play day one if you're going to play them at all sorts of things, right? And then the second category I'm going to describe, and this GI.biz doesn't go into these categories. This is me describing it. The second category are games that were delayed longer. Right? So like Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, these are games that took longer. God of War 2018, Spider-Man 1, these are games that took longer to come to PC. Those games actually did better than the third category, which is games that took less time to come to PC. These are the games that GI.biz describes as the games that don't do as well, despite them coming sooner than those first wave of games. So Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, those are games that came sooner but did worse, right? And my theory is that how well these single player games did actually have nothing to do with release timing. They have to do with novelty, right? So when Sony games first started coming to PC, it was novel. People wanted to vote with their wallet. They bought them immediately. By the time Spider-Man 2 came around, maybe I didn't finish Spider-Man 1. Maybe I don't care enough to vote with my wallet. Maybe it's not that big of a deal to me. I wait for a sale like PC gamers are going to do. That's my theory on why Wave 2, Wave 3, whatever of these single player games didn't do quite as well.
Yeah, so I'm along the same lines, but a bit different. I also think that there was a second party Wave games that also sold just as poorly as first party, if I remember correctly, as another data point. But correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't matter. Regardless of anything, I do agree with you that Sony was like testing the waters, and because it was such a novelty, they're like, man, we released this game 2 years later, we made all this money. So they got this expectation of what they were going to get. They started releasing a bit earlier and not getting that. I do, however, feel in my gut that Sony is doing themselves a disservice by not wanting to cannibalize their own platform sales, because they are spending money on marketing for a single platform and then not spending any marketing whatsoever on the PC side. They usually have like a blog post or it's just word of mouth. So people don't know about it, and no one really, after the novelty phase part goes away from it, everyone starts to, if the zeitgeist isn't there and there's no hype for it and there's no marketing, it kind of just like whatever. It's only if people want it. So you're as that started going away, they, in my opinion, they did not want to release day and date. And because they did not want to release day and date, and they had like, this is only 10% or whatever that we're getting, screw that. We're not going to do that. And I think that's what's happened. However, I don't think that it's forever. I think, as things start getting tough again and they have to start whittling down studios and, laying off people, and then they're like, oh man, we could really use some money. But then they're going to be in the same position, right? Like Ghost of Yotei, who was like maybe be 2 years late. And then they're like, oh, now we only got, X amount of dollars for whatever. I'm like half and half with you, Rich. I do 100% agree. The day and date stuff for Helldivers 2 sold 12 million on Steam and 5 million units on PlayStation 5. So there's also a part of me that Sony is genuinely like, oh crap, what if we get outsold on another platform? Like there is that open worry, like crap, we just got beat by someone that's not us. And I think that is kind of a worry when they're looking like, oh, that's just gas games. Gas games have to do that. We need the money, and we need crossplay and whatnot. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of things going on. Ultimately, to your point, though, Rich, I don't think that the initial money matches what they were expecting, and they don't want to release day and date. So these two things are now mutually exclusive, and now there's where we are. So it is what it is. I just think that's where we are right now.
I also think that it is a combination of everything that you guys were just saying about how much money they were making from the PC ports, but also the fact that Microsoft said, our next console is going to be able to play games from Steam. And if you can play every PlayStation game and every Xbox game and every PC game all on one box, why would you buy a PlayStation? Other than because your friends are playing games on PlayStation. But then you look at PlayStation and Microsoft or Xbox, they both have Discord integration. So like even then, like it makes it really hard to justify it. So I do understand why they would take a step back. But, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. We alluded to this a minute ago, but we talked a little bit about the Steam machine and whether or not it was going to come out. And we said it's been a roller coaster. So I just want to catch everybody up on that. So about 3:00, I got home from work. Rich texts the group and he's like, oh, look, there's a new headline topic for the podcast. And I look and it's what was it? The website has been updated to say coming soon.
Right.
For the Steam Deck, the Steam frame, and the Steam controller. And I was like, oh, hot damn. So I sat down, I made a video, and then every comment on that video was, hey, man, no, it didn't. Or, well, yes, it did. But they said, no, it's not coming out because they also posted what do they call it? The Valve or the Steam
machine.
The year in review, 2025 year in review.
Yeah. Yep. They posted the year in review. And in the year in review, they said, we hoped to ship these things in 2026. And I was like, son of a bitch. So then I was like, okay. So I replied to a bunch of those comments. And then I started seeing other people replying to me saying, well, actually, Bill, now they've changed it again. Valve, what in the hell are you doing? Okay. So, Rich, is it coming this year?
I guess if you change it from we hope it's coming in 2026 to it is coming out this year, I guess that should mean that it's coming out in 2026. But I mean, like the broader thing, I suppose, is in November it was early 2026. In February it was first half of 2026, and even now it's just 2026 at best. So the time horizon is getting worse, and Carrie has been in the same pose for the entire time. It was throwing me off.
I apologize.
He's buying
No,
stocks.
you're good.
Yeah, no. Stop buying is
He's
over.
looking at the Steam machine release date live.
Yeah, it keeps going back.
Yeah. Okay. So, Russ, do you think that is this another delay?
Well, the latest thing that I saw from you guys, the Bill, you put in our Discord, it says we will be shipping all three products this year, right? That's what I saw. That's a delay to me because they're not saying first half. They're not saying it. They're just saying this year, and fingers crossed at this point is what I'm hearing at this point. Like just me reading into the tea leaves, I'm like, okay, well, maybe. I don't know. I think it's the smart move. I think that they're doing the right thing. Nobody wants to buy anything right now. Like what if they're going to say, okay, you can buy it right now and it's going to cost a lot more, or maybe just wait till next year and it'll be cheaper. And I not that it's going to be cheaper, you never know, but that might be a thing. I don't know.
So we've had the roller coaster today of it's on its way or it's coming soon. Now it's that it's this year. Now it's definitely this year. Carrie, do you think that we see a fourth update to this today that says, no, it's the first half?
No, I mean, no, I don't know. I do know very, very much so that we've talked about this many times. They need to release literally now, like today, tomorrow, doesn't matter. They need to release it now, charge whatever they're going to charge for it, because the longer that they wait, And this is a thing that I've brought up before. Now that Xbox Helix is more real, like there was a brief moment in time when Xbox wasn't real, and now it's definitely real and is like, oh, plays Xbox and PC games. There is a fuse that Microsoft has just lit for Valve, and perhaps they don't care. And like Mike Ybarra, I didn't agree like everyone else did. I don't think that the Steam machine is going to challenge the PlayStation. They're going to sell maybe 1 to 5 million units, and that'll be it. But there is a real problem with the longer that they wait here. I think the perception of, especially value-wise, that it really starts to erode at that.
So a little behind the scenes is that I was like, maybe we shouldn't get back to like talking about price on Steam Machine, because that like it seems like the constant discussion. but briefly, I want to go back and renege on that, because ETA Prime, you mentioned, you know, building budget PCs and how hard it is right now. Like, can you speak to that? Like how hard it must be for Valve to build this right now for them?
So the biggest issue, and we thought about this even when the RAM prices started going up, and it's RAM, also storage, obviously, but the RAM, I think, is one of the big deals. Everybody was like, I hope they bought enough memory before this thing, you know, before they announced it. And it looks like they did not buy enough memory before they announced it. Because if they did, I mean, I don't know if they want to profit on that RAM like these other companies do. They could have released at the price they originally thought of in their head. We don't know what it is. But I had originally said when they announced it that it's going to be pretty expensive little machine compared to, say, a Steam Deck. Everybody's wanting a $300. I mean, I even said up to $1,250. Yeah, I still think they're going to try to hit below that a little bit. It's not going to be much lower than that for their 16 gig model. Because the way RAM right now, I mean, there's a chance this isn't going to clean up till 2031.
That's so crazy.
31? What are you doing to me?
Yikes. Yikes.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's real bad.
So
it is real bad.
Okay,
Go ahead,
so Carrie, when we're talking about this big Xbox, like, you know, this lit fuse that it's like basically they're on a time crunch. They've got to get this machine out before the Xbox does, because it'll undercut it, because they already said in the Xbox announcement, they said it'll be like a performance leading device or something like that, right? They said specifically it's going to be like good performance. So, and we also know that Microsoft could potentially undercut their own sales by making it cheaper than what it's actually worth, right? So what price point are you looking at here? I've seen your Twitter back and forths. You know, that's one of my favorite things to do on Twitter is to go and see what Carrie said today, you know? And
Carrie is my favorite poster.
And it's not just, for anyone watching or listening, it's not just the DMs. You got to look at the replies. That's where he gets spiciest, right? And so
That's a fact.
But I saw you saying that you think it needs to be $1,000. So do you think the Xbox can be around $1,000? And
that would be as if it's extremely aggressive. So the you know how we know like how Moore's Law is Dead said the BOM bill of materials on Steam Machine is like $450.
right,
Yeah.
The bill of materials for the Xbox Helix is right now pegged at around $900, $950, which means that Microsoft could make it $1,000. And if they did that, which I think would be insane, I don't think it'll be that cheap just because of everything that's going on. I would like to tack like maybe $200 extra onto that. You have to understand that this thing is a gigantic monster. Like, I mean, a legitimate monster to the point that it's like 4 times better than the Steam Machine. So when you start thinking about that and you're like, oh, the Steam Machine's $850, or I could just buy an Xbox Xbox Helix that plays Xbox games and PC games and on Steam, and it's 4 times better and it's like $150 more. Well, this doesn't take a genius. Plus, I can pick it up from Best Buy instead of getting it from Steam.com. Like, that's what I'm saying. They have to get this out. It is dangerously close at this moment. They should have klaxons going around the clock. Like, ship it out.
All right. Now that you say that, I hate to ask this, but now I need a heat check. There's 5 of us this time, so it's not 4. So we're gonna get a clear answer here.
Ooh.
Are you more excited for Helix now than Steam Machine?
You asking me or asking everyone?
I'm asking everyone, but Carrie, let's start with you.
I am very so. So we need to really clarify what Xbox, because Xbox says a whole bunch of stuff. Let's be
whole bunch
real.
of
Like,
stuff.
yeah,
Yes,
like, I mean,
yeah.
I am not going to allow them to just be like, hey, it plays Xbox and PC games. Is like, does that just mean PC games to you? Like, what are you saying when you say Xbox? Do you really mean Xbox?
Given
Like,
that, let's hold off on the question because we still have to talk about Helix. So
Yeah.
let's
let's
do that.
do it then. Yeah.
Very good. Well, actually, I think that's a good way to wrap up this segment. So, everybody who's watching this, let us know what you guys think. First off, is it another delay? And secondly, are we ever going to get this stuff? And thirdly, Valve, will you just ship the damn controller? Because that's what almost everybody wants anyway.
I like that Bill was like, I got three things: when, and when.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did see so much talk about why not the Steam. Just ship the Steam controller. I personally understand why they're doing it, but I understand everybody else's frustration even more.
All right. Leave a comment below, and we're going to move on to our next topic. And our next topic, we've got a new game. That game is called Place Your Bets. I went up over on my YouTube channel and meant to actually do this last episode, but we went so long we never got to talk about it. You guys sent in so many things. I said, okay, well, here's what I want. I want you to make us pick between two things that we think will happen, okay? And I want you to make it difficult, right? And so the idea behind Place Your Bets is people give us two options, and we say which one we think is most likely to happen. And I picked out 4 of them from here. If you guys are looking in the actual link, you can feel free to grab one of your own as well. But I'm going to start off with Olive Man 4427. Here's what they said. Valve will officially release an Android Steam client within the next few years, or Sony will release a proper handheld within the next few years. And he didn't define years, so I'm going to say 3 years. Okay, so a real proper handheld or an Android Steam client that launches Steam games. Rich, I'm going to you first. What do you think?
I have to say, I think that a Sony handheld comes before an Android ARM Steam client that launches video games. I think, obviously Steam Frame should land in 2026. But there's still, in my mind, there's still like a pretty sizable gap between just ARM and Android ARM. And Valve has to be willing to take that step. I think they are willing, but they are also, notoriously slow. And so Sony, on the other hand, seems very committed to a handheld. They seem very excited about a handheld. PS Portal did very well. So they can suffer a delay as well, no question. But I see that as slightly more likely than Android ARM or Steam for Android ARM.
So I'm in 100% agreement, but I would also add to that in terms of just evidence is like, we still don't have SteamOS like just available to install and stuff, right? How long have they been talking about doing that, right? And Sony, I feel like the PlayStation Portal was a practice, right? It's like practice mode for their next handheld just to gauge interest and stuff. So they're already just releasing stuff. And so it means I kind of am leaning more towards, the Sony is going to come out sooner. I kind of don't have a big need for a Sony handheld. We got so many great handhelds right now, but I just think that we can probably bet on Valve taking their sweet time.
So one thing that I just wanted to quickly address is Epic's lawsuit with Google, I think finished up this week as well. And Google was like, hey, we're actually going to allow any storefront to be on the Google Play Store, which would mean Valve has like clear runway to just be like, oh, I can sell Steam games on your Android phone, and then I have my FX emulator just sitting in the background. Well, that's convenient. So I do think that there is a lot more easy incentive for Valve to just gun through this at this point. I do not think that they will beat PlayStation, because I still am the belief that 2027 PlayStation will reach their next console, because I don't think that they want Xbox to release before them. So I am of the mind that PS6 and PS6 handheld is next year.
Gary, since you brought up that lawsuit and Google and Tim, settling. I just want to know if you have any thoughts on the gag order on Tim.
Yes, I've been reading that. I've been like following up on that. He's like, actually, I can talk about things. I just, I don't really read what he says. Like, as soon as he starts like like I'm reading his stuff, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I think that there's probably some type of thing in there, like till 2032 or something, right? Like he's like refrained from saying bad no things about them or something. I don't know. I would say that there's like some truth to it, and he's like spinning it to be one way or the other. Ultimately, I don't think it really matters, right? Like he got what he wanted, I think, out of the deal. And now the Epic Game Store is now going to be somehow integrated into Android. Funnily enough, Epic is also going to be redoing their PC launcher, and they've already said that they're going to be integrating into the new Xbox.
Yeah.
So there is this whole cohesive idea that has been ushered forward just recently, but it's all starting to come together. Like we have like in the distance, you have like, the laws that are coming, a lot of open source devs talking about like, how am I supposed to do age verification for Proton? Like,
Right.
how am I supposed to do that? And it's like, you see all this like digital ID building blocks like forming in the background. And then you see all like this precedent where Microsoft is already there saying, hey, we have to allow other stores to be on our hardware, even if we own the hardware. So they're starting to open that up like Android has. So it's all this like far more open type of environment. So it's interesting to see all these things happening in concert at the same time. So, I mean, I'm a fan of it. I think like I would love Valve stuff to just be on an Android phone. And just being able to play, especially with other stuff. So there's lots of cool stuff that's happening. It's just going to be really interesting to see how it all bakes out. But ultimately, I think Tim got what he wanted.
Yeah. ETA, what do you think? Are we going to get Android to launch Valve games right on the phone, or is it going to be the PS portable?
Within 3 years, I don't think so. I think I'm surprised that Sony hasn't already announced something with Xbox doing with Asus. No, it didn't do as well as they were hoping, but I was kind of thinking that a couple months after that launch, we would have already heard something, But yeah, I do think, obviously a lot of us have been doing a lot of the x86 emulation on ARM recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like, it's amazing what it does. And these guys aren't paid to do it. So once you get that company that knows that they can make the money, like Valve, we're going to see a big hike. And as soon as we can see something on that Steam frame, then we'll really know if this is possible or not.
Yeah, I raised my hand and then I got a notification, forgot what the hell I was raising my hand for, so I'm going to move on. All right. Next up, this one comes from Cowboy Coulter. They say Sony drops live service games, because we've seen that they've kind of been stepping a little bit back from that. Or Microsoft scales back Game Pass and starts selling games again. Which one do you think is more likely to happen? Kara, I'm going to start with you. You're muted, my friend.
Out of those two, the most immediate thing that I think would happen is Sony would stop selling live service games first in that scenario. I think that Game Pass, so like, very quickly, I have people like chatting at me. They're like, oh, the Steam Deck 2 is this. And I'm like, oh, that's a bad idea. And then they're like, oh, Xbox hardware isn't happening. I'm like, okay, so what are they going to do with the Game Pass? They're like, oh, they're going to get rid of it. I'm like, they're just going to get rid of $5 billion a year. They're just going to get rid of that. They want Game Pass. Like, there is this thing, there's a lot of legalese, I'm sure, with a bunch of people that have lots of stuff that's going in the future. They want to be able to have this subscription because it's just another feather in their cap. So I do not see them escaping Game Pass, especially when Game Pass, as itself is right now, is something that Microsoft doesn't have to worry about. And what I mean is that Game Pass itself, with the 34, if we only say the 34 million from 2024. Maybe it went down, but then prices went up. And wherever that balances out, it balances out. And we're just going to go with the previous number, which was $5 billion. At $5 billion per year, that runway pays for all of their studios, including Activision and then some. So it allows them to effectively, operate for free, you could say. And much like how like PSN, which is getting way more money for Sony, offers them a lot of flexibility and freedom to do some things. So I don't see them doing it, and I don't know. We might be talking about Marathon a little bit later. Like Marathon is kind of in a weird situation right now. It had okay numbers on day one. It kind of like pivoted down today. We have to see where it is next week. But ultimately, for the 6-7 years of development for a studio as large as Bungie is, I don't know how many people were dedicated to Marathon itself, but I know Sony knows it. And I don't think Sony is very happy with the current numbers for Marathon, my personal opinion. So I don't, that's where I'm seeing right now. And like you see the Horizon gas game that's coming out soon. And like, just like looking at people talking about it, which is nothing, I don't see that actually doing well either. So I don't know how many that they can keep on like having these failures, but I do know that there is the weird math that doesn't seem to make much sense. Like from all of us looking at it, they're like, why would you waste all this money to potentially have this home run? And that home run makes so much money. So I don't think that even with these failures that may or may not happen, that Sony will still continue their gas initiative. But for sure, that will burn out faster than Game Pass will. And that's my stance.
All right. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Russ. You got a TED Talk for us?
I think that among the versus things that we're seeing, either or, these are both fairly implausible to me. Like the other two, I think they're both going to happen at some point. We're going to see Valve on Android. We're going to see a Sony handheld. These two, it's like two bad things that might happen. And so I don't really have much of an opinion, but I totally agree with Carrie that I don't see Game Pass going away. And even then, when they mention it says Microsoft scales back Game Pass and starts selling games again, they're still selling those games, but they just are also on Game Pass. And sometimes the sale is so good, even if a game is on Game Pass, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it because you never know. I hate my least favorite thing on Game Pass is like leaving soon. That whole line of games, I call that like my anxiety bar. I just see that. I'm like, oh, these are games that I want to play. I don't have time to play them and I don't like that. And so I want to alleviate some of that feeling for me too. And so sometimes I will still buy a game, even if it's on Game Pass.
Well, sometimes you get a deal because it was on Game Pass and then you subscribe to Game Pass, you can get it cheaper.
Yeah, so they do that as well. And then the other thing Carrie talked about too is like there's that unofficial discount that happens to Xbox games when they go on Game Pass where you can get them on GameStop for so much cheaper. Yeah, he's like showing one right there. It's like you can get a game for $5 disc based, and so that's typically what I look for as well. Every time there's a GameStop buy two, get one free, I'm on it. I've got a wish list and everything going right now.
Yeah. So for me, I think that it's way more likely that Sony drops live service games. I think they kind of went all in on live service and then they realized this isn't working so well. So they they're currently already pivoting back towards more single player games. I think it's a ridiculous idea that they would ever completely just do only single player games. I think that that's like no large company that can have more than one studio working on something at a time would do that. And like that would just be a bad idea for them. So I think that it's much more likely that Sony drops live service games, but I don't see them doing it completely. What about you, ETA?
So if one had to happen, it'd be Sony dropping it, but I don't think either will happen. They'll definitely want something, and who knows, they might knock something out of the park and it's a game that everybody wants to play.
Yeah.
But I want more single player games from them. I mean, we need some good stuff. I mean, we got, God of War, Horizon's great and stuff like that, but I would love to see a new franchise hit that just kind of blows everybody away. It's been few and far in between. It's kind of sad, it's like, it feels like we've already seen all of it, There's got to be something else.
Do you consider Wolverine to be part of the Spider-Man, like the Marvel Spider-Man stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that a new franchise or is that part of the old?
Yeah, I think that's part of the old.
Same.
Like I'm talking, and just like a new Kratos, but not God of War, just something that comes out and everybody's like, oh, I gotta play this. It's Horizon I love Horizon. So I kind of fell in love with that game after it came out. And you were talking about earlier, Sony launching their single player on PC. What was it?
Horizon came first.
Yeah.
Forbidden West.
Yes, Forbidden West. And then I didn't even know that The Last of Us was out on PC until I saw it pop up on Steam for sale. I was like, then I bought it. I was like, I would have bought it day one. I didn't even know it was out till months later. And you were talking about they're not advertising it.
Yeah. Here's a blog post.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, why would they?
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, I wish I would have known day one when it was out. It was like 2 months later, it was on sale. I got a deal on it, but I still would have paid full price for that game.
Could you imagine an ad campaign from Sony that says on Steam? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just, it's
weird.
hard for them to do.
Yeah.
Well, Sony, was it the God of War creators? They're making that new game that they've never done before. It's a female protagonist, third-person adventurer, and she uses a bow and arrow. Never been done.
Never seen it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well done.
yeah. He had me in the first half. Rich, is this a consensus?
It's unanimous. I think maybe the only thing I agree with all the points that everyone's made. Maybe the only thing I can add too is, in addition to just how they have been scaling back live service as it is already. One of the things too is that, with them scaling back exclusives, maybe they're again going back to a focus of how do we sell more hardware. And I don't think live service games are how they're going to sell more hardware. I think it has to be everything we've been saying is more of those single player games. Selling live service games will be great for them. It could be great business, but if they want to sell hardware, I assume that's going to be more of the single player tentpole campaign games.
All right. I think that what we're going to do, I'm going to just do one more just so that we can move on because we still have tons of topics. So the last one that I'm going to say is from Rickeridge, I think is how you pronounce it. And they said the next Xbox will be the last Microsoft makes, or the PS6 won't arrive until at least 28, because there's been rumors that the PS6 has been delayed. So I'm going to start with this one. I think it's more likely that the PS6 gets delayed to 2028. I don't think Microsoft makes one more and then walks away. I think that they've invested too much time, and there's like a sunk cost fallacy that they're like, we got to keep trying, especially when they bought all those studios. I don't think that they walk away after after Helix, which we're talking about very soon. But Russ, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that I do think the PS6 isn't going to come out till 2028. Maybe we'll see a lot about it in 2027, but I just, given everything that's going on right now, I'm not optimistic that we'll see it in 2027. I think it's going to be a 2028 launch. And I think the next Xbox is all still up in the air. I still feel like they probably want to make another one, but who knows? Maybe it is their last. And I think that's something we would find out 8 years from now. You know what I mean? It would be a long time from now. So for me, I think that it's just by virtue of the fact that I agree with Rich Orridge here that PS6 won't arrive until at least 2028.
ETA?
Yeah, same. I don't know. We've always heard, this is Xbox, with the Series X, Series S. They're like, this is the last time they're going to make something. And they've got a lot invested. Depends on how long they can hold out with this new console, how powerful it is, how long they can support it, and people still interested in the games. Because what I see from a lot of people, even my son, he's like, oh, the game looks good. And I'm like, that's not all that matters. You know what I mean? It's the gameplay. But if they can get those graphics jacked up and keep them looking good for years, who knows?
Yeah.
They could keep it going. And then it really depends on how it does.
Absolutely. You know what it makes me think of is looking at this. The PS6 won't arrive until at least 28. I know that Microsoft is saying they're doing something at GDC next week. Part of me doesn't think that this Xbox is coming out until 28 because of the RAM shortage. Carrie, tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Next.
So I mean, yeah, it's possible, right? It's possible that Microsoft delays until 2028. It's very possible. I'm going to say that, but we already had confirmation from AMD that they had another thing coming in 2027. So AMD already was like announced for Microsoft. They're like, hey, Microsoft has another Xbox console coming next year. So it's on their roadmap to deliver. Microsoft has their GDC. For this particular question about like which one will be first, I personally think Sony cannot afford to not have the PS6 come out in 2027. I can see it getting delayed till 2028. And we have to still talk about Project Helix, which is the next topic that we're going to talk about. But there is a reality where Windows 12 is an Xbox, right? It plays containerized Xbox games. It does the whole Hyper-V part, goes into the game container, does the game binary, and you can play all Xbox games inside of Windows using all of the extensions that are in AMD's N6 Plus CPUs and going forward. So it'll have all those ISA extensions to enable that to happen with all the security stuff as well. So there's a reality where, you know, everyone's PC is an Xbox, and then at that point, they don't kind of need to make another Xbox because everything is an Xbox. You know, the this is an Xbox thing actually materializes. Yeah. So
Sarah
we don't
Bond
know.
In the room with you right now?
Huh?
Is Sarah Bond in the room with you right now?
Oh, geez. No, but I mean, we don't know which way this is going to go, and we also don't know how that's all going to unravel. But yeah, so that's a tough question. I would probably lean further on this is Microsoft's last console, only because I don't think PlayStation can allow themselves to come out late, especially when the next Xbox is considerably better than the PlayStation 6 main console hardware and obviously better than the handheld, but they cannot allow Microsoft to offer something that is going to be better and also more versatile before PlayStation can even start putting their foothold down. With the caveat that PlayStation is dominant. PlayStation is dominant, and there's a lot of PlayStation fans that don't care about Xbox. Yeah. But there is a growing PC sentiment, and the idea of, wow, this thing that plays Xbox games also plays PC games. It's also comparatively way cheaper than what I would get as a PC. So I don't know. From my perspective, I think they have a real winner on their hands. It's a tough question.
So can I just, one thing I would think, like just me kind of thinking through the environment, right? PC or PlayStation's obviously leading the console race by a long shot right now, right?
Yep.
It would be in Sony's best interest to be after Xbox because then they can make whatever price point and everything, you know, like the whole mic drops we've seen over the years where somebody comes out.
The Dreamcast.
Right.
Yeah.
And like not only the Dreamcast, but then like the trading games, you know, like how that whole thing that came out, it's always in your best interest to have the reaction. And so I could see Xbox coming out 2027, be like, hey, this is a really good value. And then I could see a lot of buyers being like, I'm going to wait because I don't even know what Sony's going to do. And that
the only caveat that
Go ahead.
Yes, the only caveat I would put in there is that the 360 came out a year earlier than the PS3 and put up the biggest fight Sony ever had in the console space ever.
Totally
they have
agree.
never had that competition since. So there is that thing where that's Microsoft's playbook, right? That they've always, even for the Xbox One, they tried doing it. They were like, we're going to have 8 gigs of RAM and they're only going to have 4 gigs of GDR. And then Sony was like, surprise, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's 8 gigs. And then it was $400 instead of $500, and it came out a week earlier. The PS4 was the 360 playbook that they just like rug pulled Microsoft on that whole thing.
Yeah.
So that really hurt them a lot. That hurt them tremendously. That Xbox One generation hurt them tremendously. So I don't know. But that's to say that the PS3 still sold very well, and that goes to the strength of people just liking PlayStation. They prefer that platform.
Yeah.
So there is that strength that they just have, regardless of which way you slice this. So yes, you are right that waiting until 2028, I don't think is like a big blow to them. But yeah.
You're right about the 360 coming out a year early and how that kind of had a big impact. I mean, I don't think a lot of us saw that coming because the PS2 dominated the cycle before.
Yeah,
I don't. The thing that was exciting about the Xbox 360 was not necessarily that it was early. It was that it was the first next gen console that we could get our hands on
Right.
that was fully online. Like there were so many cool things about it. I don't think anybody's clamoring for that next generation experience anymore. We can find that anywhere at this point. And so, I don't think that the excitement of getting early is going to have as much impact as it did back in 2005.
They're gonna do like Elder Scrolls 6 with AI, and you can do AI quests and like AI voice, and it's only possible in the next Xbox AI.
Oh, man.
That's what it's called, by the way. Xbox AI.
It's called the
really
Copilot. Yeah.
The Xbox Copilot. Yeah, I cannot wait for that future. I guess I'm gonna say PS6 won't arrive until at least 2028 for my answer. I'm not like terribly bullish on Xbox, necessarily coming back for another Xbox after Helix, but it can happen. And like ETA Prime said before, right? Like I also wasn't terribly bullish on an Xbox after Series S or Series X. So they continue to make hardware and they'll probably do it again. And I think that although a delay is unlikely for PS6, look at the world right now. Everything that is unlikely is happening. So who knows?
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below that like button. And we are going to move on to our next topic. Project Helix. Microsoft announced yesterday, I believe. I can't remember now. So much has happened. Basically, they announced their next gen console in quotes, and that comes into play later on. Basically, the new Xbox CEO, Asha Sharma, she revealed codename the Project Helix on March 5th. So that was yesterday, as part of their commitment to return to Xbox. And then they said that they have a GDC presentation next week where they're going to be talking to partners and developers about the return to Xbox. So I expect next week we're going to see so many leaks about what she said. Here's her exact quote. She said, "Great start to the morning with Team Xbox, where we talked about our commitment to the return of Xbox, including Project Helix, the code name for our next generation of console." Sharma posted on her Twitter account, "Project Helix will lead in performance and play Xbox and PC games. Looking forward to chatting about this move with partners and studios at my first GDC next week." So I have 3 questions for you guys. Number 1, what is your excitement level for the Xbox Project Helix, or whatever it is that they're, well, that's just its code name. It's probably going to have a terrible name, whatever it is, Project X or something. AI Core, whatever. Will it play discs? That's the second question. And then the third question needs a little explanation. So I saw this tweet from, I'm going to try and find the right one, from Jeff Keighley. And Jeff Keighley said, Xbox has announced the Project Helix is a code name for the next generation PC-based Xbox hardware device. Tom Warren fired back, "I think you mean Xbox console." And then Jeff Keighley replied, "Do you consider Steam Machine a console?" And I thought that's a fun conversation. So let's start with the first question. What do you guys think? What is your excitement level? We're not worried about the second and third question, just the first question. What is your excitement level for Project Helix? ETA Prime?
So I'm a huge Xbox fan. I always have been. I've got both, but I've always gone to Xbox for Forza, and it used to be Halo, but now it's on everything else. So I mean, I have to see what they have. You know, I was talking to a couple buddies yesterday about it, and I'm hoping for like a Wii style setup where they got that handheld with it. That would be awesome.
You mean Wii U?
Yeah, the Wii U.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
The Wii U with it. And it's not even the hardware streams. I mean, that would be awesome, but just kind of speculating all kinds of crazy stuff that they could do to be different, but the same, but better.
Gotcha. Very interesting. What about you, Russ? What's your excitement level?
It was pretty high when I first read this. I was like, all right, it's the PC game thing. Or I was like, okay, here we go. Like, this is what I've always wanted. I wanted an Xbox that can play PC games and my Xbox console games. Like, I've got this big disc library and digital library of Xbox console games that I want to play, and then I want to play my PC games. So pretty high. And then I started thinking about it, and it just kept going down because Asha Sharma, right? CEO. I personally think there's a lot of CEO speak that kind of comes from that level of leadership. And it says, play your Xbox and PC games. And the first thing I'm thinking to myself is there an unspoken sentence afterwards where she meant to also put from the Microsoft Store? Like, we don't see any guarantee of Steam games, right? We're just all jumping to that conclusion. Like, wouldn't that be great? Like, I want to be able to play all those games I already bought. But what if they just say, here's the Microsoft Store, and you can play our PC games and our Xbox games on there. And that's the limitation of what they put into it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but the cynic in me is like, holy smokes, maybe this isn't going to be as great as I was hoping it was going to be. So I'm like a 7 out of 10 now, where I was like a 9 out of 10 when I first read it.
I'm going to see if I can, bring you back more to excited and there's a reason to think that this is, to have some skepticism for what I'm about to say, because Sarah Bond no longer works at Microsoft. But one of her first things where she stood up and was like, hey, everybody, we're talking about our next console, and our next console, you're going to be able to install other stores on. And then she didn't say it in the video, but then on like their blog post or something, they specifically said Steam. Now, she's no longer there. Phil Spencer is no longer there. So maybe Asha Sharma doesn't have to follow that same playbook, I guess is the word that I'm looking for.
So my one comment before we move on to the others is that, okay, but she said the return of Xbox. What does the return of Xbox mean? Does that mean getting rid of the Steam stuff and just doing Xbox? You know what I mean? Like that. I still don't know what return of Xbox actually means.
I know what it means.
And that might be part of it. It might be like, hey, we're going to stick to our own ecosystem. And that might be it. So I don't know. Again, the cynic in me, I don't want any of this to happen, but I am fearing the worst and hoping for the best.
I just to answer what you're thinking of, what does a return to Xbox mean? I think that sentence is just cheerleaders. Like, it's just somebody off to the side saying, yeah, go team. That's just something to say to get the fan base riled up. You know what I mean?
It's like bringing up Blades is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Carrie, what's your excitement level here?
It's entirely dependent on what it means to play Xbox games. So for the PC side, I still am fairly confident that it's going to be everything. There's also a part of me that think that it's going to be a little bit more, and I'll explain more into that for a second. But we already had Epic Games say they're redoing the launcher, and they also said in a separate thing that they are integrating into the next Xbox. So at least that would be like the monkey paw wish, wouldn't it? Like no Steam, just Epic and Microsoft.
That makes me mad.
So anyway, let's just assume that Steam is coming anyway. Anyway, because I still firmly believe that's the case. I genuinely need it to operate. If it operates as an Xbox does for Xbox One and Xbox Series games already does, in that you are in a container environment. So the Hyper-V Lite, Microsoft's Hyper-V Lite is actually at the OS layer. Then the game is run in a virtualized environment. Then it runs the game binary inside of that game environment. And then all of that there is how it's done. That is how Game Resume works. I don't know if you guys know that, but like the VM itself, when you initialize, the Game Resume, it actually takes all of that VM that was in memory and just dumps it to disk. So it just, pauses the VM and then whoop, right back. And then you get right back to where you were. So my hope is that whole thing exists in the next Xbox console. And then if we go further, if the reality is that the next Xbox is going to be able to play PC games as well, but it's not actually a full-blown PC, insofar as you can download and install Steam games, but it does it in the same manner that Xbox games were, i.e., you know how like GameHub does it, where it kind of makes this virtualized environment, you start storing all these files in its own file system and does all the other stuff? Same type of thing. You're in your own container, which means that all Steam games, all PC games, thus support Game Resume as well. So now you have the same features and functionality of the made general Xbox console, but applied to also PC games because it's in that same container. So you have all the stuff that follows suit. So my hype level is entirely dependent on if Xbox means console, especially 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series, because there's a lot of stuff there. And then we're going to talk about it, I think, the next one later, but I'll leave that there. But that's where my hype level is entirely dependent on that. If it does both, then I'm at a 10.
Fair. Rich, where are you?
On excitement level,
Yep.
so I'm going to take a step back. I think this is like the first step in the right direction. I think that we have been, I guess, speculating as to this, although it's been more than speculation at this point, right? Like we have, it's all based on real foundation. But this is the first time that they've really come out and said Xbox games, PC games on the same platform. And I think that the problem with this is an Xbox campaign, and the problem with Xbox writ large right now is that there's been this fog of confusion. And this is the first step to sort of clear that fog. But they have so many more steps to go, as Carrie was kind of alluding to earlier, and Russ was alluding to as well, that like, man, they really have to land this plane, but they, in my opinion, they have to land it fast, right? And so, because again, some of those remaining questions, you allude to them too, Bill. Does it play discs? That's number one, right? That's a huge question for a lot of Xbox folks. Which stores are going to be available? I want to speak to that, but that's a question that clearly people still have. People are kind of cynical about this, and is it going to be just Xbox? Do you need a Helix to play Xbox games? Is it locked to Helix? How much compatibility is there? It's not going to be 100%. So like, can they give us a number?
Do you mean like, can you play Xbox games on a random ass PC?
Yeah. That runs
Oh,
Windows
okay.
12, is secure boot, TPM, all this stuff, but can it run Xbox games? That's a question that's going to come up real soon, real quick.
Yeah.
Do you still pay for online? That's another question that they need to answer immediately. How about the full screen experience and their verified system? How does that work? PC games, are there going to be exclusives? Are there going to be new Xbox games? Like, now that Xbox also plays PC games, are they going to release new Xbox games in 2027, 2028? I don't know. And of course there's a price, right? Like we were alluding to that too. On the subject of like which stores, I mean, in my mind, and this goes to the Jeff Keighley and Tom Warren thing, I mean, it's a PC, right? Like there exists no such thing right now that plays PC games, but only from one store.
Right.
Right. And so Carrie said Epic Games, that's already settled. But also this goes back to like February 2022. So even before Xbox stated this direction or even alluded to this direction, there was a blog post from Brad Smith, vice chair and president now at Microsoft, so roughly a peer to the CEO of Xbox, who said they were opening up all their stores, right? All their platforms to all stores. And that included Xbox. It was like, at the time, it was like a little tiny thing. But that was just a hint as to what's to come. It said it included Xbox, that Xbox will open up its platform to more stores. And you have to ask, like, why is that an edict? Why is that something that Brad Smith and presumably Satya Nadella is interested in? It actually has nothing to do with Xbox at all, right? Like, this is the play that they've been making this entire time to enter mobile in a way that, you know, Google and Apple have just dominated. And so they're willing to give up some of that console, maybe all of that console, 30%, to get a share of what they've been missing in mobile. At least that's how I see it. And so they can't do that and then somehow lock it down and say it's just Xbox and Epic Games and there's no way to get Steam whatsoever. I think it's possible that Steam doesn't, you know, like make it easy for some reason. Like they don't make a Steam client on whatever this is. Like if it's a new operating system that like requires some sort of signed whatever, maybe they don't do that. But I don't see that either, right? And I certainly don't see Microsoft saying, no, we don't want it.
So the one thing I want to touch base really quickly on that part is that it's the Steam integration layer, like Epic is doing or has already alluded to. I feel for me that Valve's integration is part and parcel with Windows 12 being an Xbox by itself, not needing the console to also do all of these things. Because then at that point, it's Valve needing to support Windows as opposed to needing to support the next Xbox
Right.
as the differentiator.
Right.
I don't. Go ahead.
Well, just one more thing I want to say, because we've been talking about it, but interestingly, they are set to have a pretty big GDC, right? Like, it's not just Xbox, it's DirectX 12. And they've been alluding to a lot of stuff. And they're just set to have a big GDC. And that's why I say they need to land this plane, right? Like, they need to really kind of come out after GDC and say, this is what we're doing, and have answers for everybody.
What I was going to say is I don't see any world in which Valve says we don't want our store on another platform. Like, of course they would want their store, because Valve has never been the guys that play, we want to lock everything down. They always want everything to be open, and they also want to be able to sell to as many people as possible. Because if I buy Project Helix and I can't buy a game from Steam, then I won't buy a game from Steam. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to. Valve would want to be able to reach into my wallet and shake it, take all the money away. You know, that's what they want to do.
Yeah, and I think even if they somehow didn't do that, right, like there would be a way to play Steam games on Xbox, just like there's a way to play Steam games on Android. But I do think there's a chance that, like, Valve kind of drags, if for some reason the mechanism to get Steam on Windows 12, there's like a high ceiling for that for some reason, where they have to integrate with something that they don't want to, it's possible that they drag their foot. That's what I think.
So the one thing that I think at least I would assume that all of us would also tend to agree that the Xbox full screen experience hasn't been the best. Like, it's kind of like this kind of neat idea, but implementation wise, experience wise, it really didn't land. So I kind of think of the opposite for the Xbox side of things, insofar as that it's like the VM hypervisor kind of scope of Windows. And I don't think that Helix actually has full PC side of things. Like, you can't just install Excel and like use it for like keyboard and mouse type of thing. I don't see that at the particular moment. But outside of that, I think that if you just take a look at like the big headliners, so you like GOG, Steam, Epic, I feel like those guys are going to have this integration that is kind of necessary to facilitate something better than the Xbox full screen experience and make it more console like. But this is also a conversation that we've had many times previously, like where we were just kind of like, wouldn't it be neat and wouldn't it be cool? We still don't know.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, the next two questions are going to be fairly quick. So, will it play discs? I know that everybody on the show wants it to play discs. Well, okay, I don't care if it plays discs, but I want it to play discs for everybody else because I don't have any discs. But everybody wants it to be able to play discs, but will it play discs? We're just doing a prediction. Russ is going to say he doesn't know, but that's okay. I'm going to ask him first anyway. Russ, will it play discs?
I think that yes, with an external drive.
Okay. Rich?
I think yes. I think what I'll say a little more is just that if it doesn't, I consider that a failure, at least via external drive. I think it has to be not a failure.
I 100% agree that if it doesn't, it will be a failure. So I'm going to go back to Russ real quick. If it doesn't, is that a failure?
If it doesn't, I don't see a need to buy it because I'll just keep my Xbox Series to play all my discs, and then I'll just use a PC.
Fair enough. ETA, will it have discs? And if it doesn't, is that a failure?
Yes, it will with an external. And if it doesn't, yeah, I mean, I don't want it if I can't have a collection.
Okay. Carrie, you have so many Xbox games. So
I'm gonna agree with everyone else. It's gonna be the PlayStation Pro method, also the newer PlayStation, but where you get the external that slaps on. It does hold the thing of like you buy it and then it's mated to your thing forever, and it does the whole signature security thing, like you can't resell it anymore.
Bastards.
I would go even further that feeling of if you can't get the disk drive, it's a failure is palpable because I've had Twitter interactions where people have said it is not an Xbox console unless it can play Xbox discs. And that was his bar. That was his bar of like, this is the only definition of an Xbox console, and you have to meet this, or else it's not that. And I was like, well, what about digital games? Like, if you own digital games, like, and it plays those Xbox ones, he's like, no, it must play discs. And I'm like, all right, that seems very specific, but there are, and I feel like from just the general sentiment here as well, that it very much needs to. And I would go further that it should support 360 games as well.
And Xbox original game. I almost said Xbox One, but that's different. That's a different animal, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last question, and then we'll move on to our next topic. Who's right, Tom Warren or Jeff Keighley? Is this a PC that plays console games, or is it a console that plays PC games? And I'm imagining the good old Reese's peanut butter cup ad campaign. You got chocolate on my peanut butter. You know what I mean? So which is it? ETA Prime, is it a console that plays PC games, or is it a PC that plays console games?
Well, Gary said that he doesn't think you'll be able to open up Excel on it. And if you can't, then it's a console, I think. Like if you can't install those apps and use it like a PC, then it's a console.
I think you will be able to. By the way, I think you will be able to install whatever the hell you want on it.
Yeah, I roughly think you will be able to install Excel. If you can't, that just opens up another bag of worms for sure. So I think it's a PC that plays Xbox games. I think it's fair to call it a console too. I've called the Steam Deck a console, so I think it's fair to call it a console, but it is certainly a PC.
Russ?
So a console to me is something that is exclusive to what it plays, right? Like it's got exclusivity to it. You know, Super Nintendo is a console that plays Super Nintendo games. If it can play Xbox console games when other PCs cannot, to me, that is a console. So I think Tom Warren is right to call out Jeff Keighley, who called it a device, when I think it's a console if it plays console games, even if it's a PC. I mean, I could argue the Xbox One and the Xbox Series are PCs that play console games, and they just don't do the PC side of things. And so, I fully think that it's a console and that Tom Warren's right.
All right. I think it's PC. And Carrie, what do you think?
Again, I don't see it at all going to PC side. I feel like that's going to be fairly locked down. The only reason I say that is it's truly a monster. If the rumored specs are true, this machine is a monster. And if the price, even at $1,200, is true, especially if it releases in 2027, I don't know if anyone appreciates that every pre-built manufacturer is not going to be able to sell squat. They will be able to sell diddly. Because the only thing that anyone's going to care about is like, oh, that Zen 6 with the NVIDIA 5080 for $1,200 instead of $2,400. Oh, gee whiz. Maybe I'll save 50% of my money and just do that because it's a full-on PC. That it is such alarm. It is so alarmingly powerful that I don't feel like when I tell people that it's like a 5080, they're like, yeah, you wish. And I'm like, hey, Grok, what does it compare to? And Grok's like, oh, with all the specs, it's very close to a 5080. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Grok. And it's just like, it's the best because I know what it is, but I mean, like, I don't have to like try to do it. I can just be like, hey, Grok, just correct this person. It's a monster. It's a gigantic monster. It'll eat your children. It's going to be very inexpensive. That's basically where it comes down to. So ultimately, Tom Warren is right. 100% if it has an external disk drive and plays Xbox games, because that's the rule. I didn't make the rules. If it plays Xbox discs as a console, I didn't make the rules.
So, Carrie, we have to go back then to where we first started. Are you more excited for Helix or Steam Machine?
I'm more excited for Helix than Steam Machine. Steam Machine is it's neat, but it's really just about the price, and it really needs to be very inexpensive for me to like, oh, that's really cool. And you don't have that, you don't have a PC. Yeah, definitely get that. But if it's anywhere close to like $850, $900, and even if Xbox Helix is $1,200, it's like, especially if it just take longer, right? If they release when Xbox is like, hey, we have the Xbox Helix. And by the way, It's fantastic and super inexpensive. I think they have a real problem on their hands.
Yeah. Bill, what about you?
So I think it depends. If Xbox Project Helix is what I think it is, where it is just a freaking PC, which is super powerful, that also plays Xbox games and has a good UI instead of the bad UI that we're used to, then I am more excited for Project Helix. And here's the reason why. I already have a Linux-based living room PC that is more powerful than the Steam Machine. I'm more excited for Steam Machine because I want to make videos about it. I want to be able to talk about it. I want to show off the different things that you can do with it, not because I need it, because I don't need it. The Xbox Project Helix is going to make my computer, look like a wet paper bag, and even though my computer's pretty damn nice, you know what I mean?
Yep. All right, Russ, it's looking bad for a Steam Machine, folks. Where do you land on this?
I think that I know what I'm getting with the Steam Machine, and that's exciting in its own right. Like, it's going to be this small PC that does a decent job playing 4K with upscalers or whatever, but it's going to be a decent living room experience that I'm going to be able to use for emulation and all these kind of things. For me, that is, I'd rather have, one bird in the hand versus two in the bush. And I think that the Xbox has got a lot of cool things going for it. It could be a really fun PC console hybrid that could play my Steam games, that could also play my console games if I can get my Steam games on there. And if the interface is worth navigating through, if it's anything like the full screen experience, no, forget it. Like, I don't enjoy that, And so my excitement is more for the Steam Machine right now, even though I think the Xbox could be a very cool console, and I'm excited to watch how that plays out over the next year. For me, the Steam Machine is the one that I would want right now.
Before you ask ETA,
I was not going to.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. I'll explain why.
Well, I just want to say this. I want to be able to hook up my Steam controller to it.
100%.
Right.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
If I can't, because Xbox controllers are fine, but they are featureless compared to all of the other controllers out there. Anyway.
Yep. So ETA Prime, the reason I wasn't going to ask you next is because I have the perfect opportunity to put you on the spot and make you the tiebreaker. I have to side with Russ. I think the way you framed it, the bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, is exactly how I feel, right? Like I'm already excited for Steam Machine as it is. I am excited for the potential of Helix. So I have to say I'm more excited for Steam Machine. And so ETA, that leaves it to you.
So for me, it's going to have to be the Steam Machine for sure. We like Russ said, we know what we're getting. And now the biggest thing here is it's kind of hard because we don't even know the price. Like, I think it's going to be more than people really think. And I think Valve could have took a hit on it and still been fine, but I don't think they're willing to do that. But still, either way, I'm more excited about the Steam Machine.
I will add too, having a third player in the living room. I mean, okay, yes, we can put Nintendo in there too, but we're really talking about this. Like, a third player competing in the living room is going to make the PlayStation and Xbox better. And that is something I'm very excited about too, is to see how the landscape changes over time.
But doesn't count as being a competitor in the living room if you can't walk into a store and buy it. If you can only buy it from Valve's website. What do you think, Russ?
Yeah, I mean, there's that stupid thing. What is that stupid thing that outsold the Xbox, right?
Oh, right.
That dumb little Android thing. You know what I mean? I don't think it
made a video about.
Right. Yeah, that thing's a console too. You know what I mean? Like I don't care about whether or not it's in store. I also don't care that it's not going to compete performance wise with those other ones. I don't really care. It's whether or not people are going to play it. More people played the Wii than a lot of other stuff at that time. You know, that zeitgeist feeling. And that's the kind of thing I'm really hoping for, is that sometimes people don't care about the graphics. They want just the innovative, cool thing. And I think the Steam Machine might be that thing.
I think the only thing I want to add to that is the only excitement that I have for the Steam Machine is not the hardware itself, but the new things that Valve gets out of what they can do on RDNA 3. Like, I'm just like, oh, they have all of this stuff there to do FSR4 emulated on RDNA 3. Are they going to do that? It sounds like they're going to do that. That's more exciting to me on the software front for Steam Machine than the hardware is. And to a certain degree, no, the Steam Deck, I cared way more about the hardware than the software. But for the Steam Machine, I care more about the software than the hardware.
That's fair. All right. Well, let us know what you guys think about all of these questions. Are you excited about the Project Helix? I cannot remember the name. I can't wait till it gets a different name because I can't remember it. Are you excited for Project Helix? Is it a PC or is it a console? And I forgot the third question because I closed that part of the show notes. Will it play discs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
All Asha has to do is call it Xbox 720, bring back blades, and announce discs.
That would be boring.
Imagine-
Xbox 720 would be.
Imagine
Let's call it Xbox 3.
No, if
Xbox 720.
if she calls it Xbox 720, brings back blades, and tells us there's discs, the internet's done. It's done. It's a wrap.
I mean, you have to, like, when she says bring Xbox back, I have to agree with Rich. If she does just those three things, like, like Steve Jobs on the thing is like, it's a 720 and it plays this, and everyone's like, oh my God, that's the iPhone moment. Yeah, that would be pretty baller.
All right, real quick before we move on, let's all give a name. What are they going to call this thing? I think they're going to call it Xbox 3 or Xbox Neo. And I'm saying 3 because that's a stupid name. But Xbox Neo, I think, is what they'll go with.
I mean, I have zero faith in them naming this good. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the 360 was also weird, but I kind of grew to like it. I don't know. I have to believe somewhere in my gut that there's Cortana AI. There's something with AI in it. There's gotta be. It's just so cringy that it has to be there.
I can see that, especially Cortana. I can definitely see that. I'm just gonna manifest it. I'm saying Xbox 720. I know it's not likely. I'm manifesting it.
Xbox 720 would be such a better name because you have the PlayStation 6, and the reason they came out with the 360 was so the PlayStation 3. They wanted to have a 3 in the name. So if they can do 720, it would be one more than the PS6.
It's genius.
That's like when Atari changed their name to Atari so they would show up first in the phone book.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yellow Pages rules.
So I'm of the same kind of mindset that they are going to botch this. They're going to come up with some AI speak name that's going to supposed to, like, they're going to call it that Xbox Buddy or something. You know what I mean? Like some dumb name like that.
It's just going to be Xbox Chat.
Right. And so
that's it.
Like Clippy, like something dumb like that. But my guess is going to be Next Box. That's what I think they're going to try to call it.
No. It's definitely. You just said it, Russ. You are absolutely correct. They're going to have like streamers, and they'll be like, "Hey, chat," and it'll be like talking to the Xbox because it's called the Xbox Chat.
Oh, why would you
That
give
is
him ideas?
crazy.
They're them ideas.
That's
All right.
insane.
No. I've now changed my name. It's going to be Xbox Blade. That's what they're going to call it.
That's a good
Right.
second place to 720.
Yeah.
ETA Prime, give us a name. What is it going to be?
I think they're just going to call it Xbox.
Just
I
simply
think they're
Xbox.
just going to go right with Xbox and be like, this is an Xbox.
Kind of like iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Or
hate it.
MacBook,
Or iPad.
right? They're all MacBook Pros, they don't say MacBook Pro 2.
Yeah. People just say, you got the new one? Yeah, I got the new one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Good point.
you know what? Give us the names that you think. You know what I want? I'm going to give away a code to the funniest name that somebody comes up with in the comments down below because I want to hear these. All right. We got to move on to our next topic. Bungie asked reviewers to basically not review Marathon until the Cryo Archive Endgame Zone unlocks in late March. The company sent a message to media outlets stating, "We ask you to hold your full reviews and impressions until you play Cryo Archive, Marathon's pinnacle endgame zone and experience, which will be unlocked in the second half of March." Now, this is a request, a suggestion, not a mandate. But then I decided, you know what? I wonder if we have some reviews. So I went to Metacritic to see what are the reviews for Marathon. And, right now it's just user reviews. So there are no critic reviews yet, but there are lots of user reviews because the users weren't sent that message, and they're not liking it. But that's okay. That's beside the point. So what do you guys think of Marathon? I mean, we're not doing a review, but what do you guys think of it? Like, how many of you have played it? I've played it. Russ has played it. Carrie's played it. Rich, no. ETA, no. Okay.
Nope.
All right. So this will go pretty quick. Carrie, what do you think of Marathon?
I think it's busy. It's very busy. It's obtuse. It's obtuse to decipher on purpose, and getting into it requires a lot of effort. And even though the tutorial is fairly straightforward, after the tutorial, it's still like, what the hell am I looking at? They're at the same time, outside of that, like, what they call a font slop, which a lot of people are calling it, is like, you kind of have a little bit of design language of like, oh, I can interact with that. I can do something with that. I can pick that up. And then when you're going through it, but you can also like pick up junk and garbage. And it's just, you have to like read, and it just slows you down, and like stuff is going. And there's like, a push-pull thing in here that is incongruous with like fun for me, but I'm also a little bit too early. So there is this knowledge gap that you need to play. And I'm not the biggest fan of that for multiplayer games. I feel like, the Penny Arcade article, there was a Penny Arcade comic of like Final Fantasy 13 or something. And the guy's like, oh, I can't play it. He's like, oh, after you put 130 hours into it, the game really opens up.
Yeah. I remember that comic, but and it was actually true about that game. So I think you're giving them a little more credit than they deserve because you said that it's on purpose. I don't think that the fact that you can't tell what anything is on purpose. I think that that's just bad UI design. They have said that they're going to work on the design and change it, but I feel like when I play this game, here's the way I feel about this game. It reminds me of a Monster Hunter game. And the reason when I say that is because you know what I did? I went to RX Gaming and I said, I need to find a damn video to explain what the hell I'm supposed to do here. And I watched some YouTube videos rather than play the game so that I could figure out how to play the game. That's how bad the onboarding experience is. And Capcom, I have dragged through the coals 1,000 times for how bad the initial impression of Monster Hunter is. And I think that Marathon suffers from the same exact thing. Now, hopefully, once I learn all of the systems, the gunplay is really good. So hopefully, all of that stuff, once I understand it, the game really clicks and I have a lot of fun with it. But right now, I'm skeptical that I'm going to get there. But I was willing to play more, so I bought it, and I'm going to keep playing and try and learn how this game works. Russ, you played it. What did you think?
Yeah, so I kind of was stacked to both not like it and like the game. Obviously I love Bungie stuff. I love all the Halo games. I love Destiny and Destiny 2, but I do not like multiplayer games, especially PvP. But I'd heard there was a PvE element to it, so I played the Server Slam and installed it. It was only like a 14 gigabyte download, which was really interesting. Got it running, and I liked the tutorial. I enjoyed like what I was kind of feeling in terms of just the gun feel and everything else. It was a little heavier and slower than what I was expecting from just like Destiny and Halo and stuff, but it still felt good. But as soon as I got in the match and I was playing with two other guys, I was like, I don't like this, because these guys are depending on me to know how to do whatever I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't like that pressure. I play what they call strikes in Destiny 2 often, which is where you just play like a 10-minute, 20-minute storyline, and you're there with two other people, either your friends or strangers, and it doesn't matter whether or not you know what's going on, because the narrator is going to tell you where to go. You just run forward, you follow the guy who's ahead of you, and then you just start putting bullets in bad guys, and that's like all I want to do, right? So that's fine. Like, I don't feel like I'm letting the team down when I suck, right? But this one, I didn't like that amount of pressure. I can understand when you're at a tight-knit team, that's probably going to feel very good. And then the other thing that Carrie mentioned is like the scavenging aspect of it, when there's all sorts of stuff on the ground and you're like, okay, and you pick up and it's like a dead plant, and you're like, am I supposed to put this in my inventory? That's also very limited, you know. It felt like Skyrim at that
Yeah.
point, you know. I'm like, I'm being
Yeah.
weighed down by potatoes or something, you know. And so like that's kind of what was going on with that too, and I didn't like that feeling as well, because the other dudes were taking all the good ammo, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? How do I tell them don't take my stuff?
It's-
You know.
It's Devil Dragon eating your chickens. Like, oh God, I have no health. I need a chicken. Goodness gracious.
Chicken.
Yeah, and so I wasn't enjoying that experience. The interactivity of it didn't feel like a good shooter experience to me, you know. I liked that it was mostly PvE, like you get these like drops of these bots and you got to kill them, and then you might run into some other dudes, you know. That to me is kind of a fun setup, but I don't think I'm an extraction games kind of guy in the first place. So I didn't buy it. I don't plan on buying it. And I am worried, like I am like just like hoping for its success, because I want to see another Bungie game in the future. I don't want the studio to close on the basis of this one game, but that's my worry right now. So yeah, that's how I feel about it right now. The reviewer thing, the thing you're talking about, like, you know, holding off on the reviews, I think it's completely valid for Bungie to at least mention it and not to make it a mandatory thing, because when Destiny 1 first came out, same thing happened where a bunch of people reviewed it and stuff, and then they released Fault of Glass, which is their first major raid, and everybody loved that. And that was so much better than the rest of the game at the time. And so it came into this thing where 1-2 months after the game was out, people were making new reviews and being like, oh, by the way, Destiny is actually really cool, you know. And I can see that happening with Marathon too. I mean, it's Bungie's own dumb fault for like having this come out weeks after the game came out, right? Like they are the ones creating this cadence. But at the same time, I see where they're coming from, because we probably don't get a full scope of the game for another few weeks.
But shouldn't they ship the whole game?
So
Yeah.
I think the way that they could have their cake and eat it too, as they're trying to do right now, there's a function, I believe it's called early access, and you could just put that little button and press that button to say early access. You can sell to people, and then when they review it, they're reviewing the early access version.
Yep.
And then even if it's like a week, you know, there are, you know, Microsoft does that dumb nonsense. It's like, buy the premium version and get early access for 3 days. You can have early access for a week or 2 weeks or whatever you need, and then be like, oh, you know, early access for 2 weeks.
So you're
That's
okay. So you're saying that the early access period is what happens until this cryo archive comes out, and then the game is released.
Well, that's not what he's saying. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
Well-
Baldur's Gate 3 released on early access, and everyone seemed to wait until the official release came out before they reviewed it, and then that game got reviewed like bonanzas. So there is a method to do this. It just seems that they're not doing it how they should be doing it.
That's fair.
Perhaps it's because they would have to do early access on PC first, because does PlayStation not do early access?
I don't know.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
So maybe
Correct, but
that's
they
the
don't?
reason.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the reality could be that they would have to release on Steam first, which they don't want to do. And the result is as it is. I mean, you know, you could still do the whole, like, how do they do early access? Like, how do they do like a 3-day early window on PlayStation, like how Xbox does?
Well, I'm sure that they do that, but that's different than early access, because
Right, but you could effectively do the same thing, right? Like if it's on Steam as early access, people would adopt that terminology. I don't think that they would just, I think that it would just be part and parcel. It's like, well, it's early access. This is like building up to the server, all this, that, and the other, and the full release is in 2 weeks. And it's like, okay, fine.
Just a quick correction. I think it does support early access, but it's not widespread like it is on Xbox, and not as widespread as you see on Xbox and Steam. Yeah.
Okay.
all right. Well, I mean, you, Rich and the ETA Prime, you guys didn't play it, but you know, like, what do you like? Look at the Steam charts. Like right now, when I click on this, it says that there's 72,000 players right now, which is not that big of a dip from when it started a couple days ago. Like it had an all-time peak at 88,000, and it's down to 72,000 right now. It's also a Friday night. People are probably out doing stuff instead of playing video games. What do you guys think about that, Rich?
I would think it would be higher on a Friday night than a Thursday night, but honestly, I don't follow release curves as much as that. So maybe that's not, the expectation. I do think, we talked a lot in the group chat about like what we thought the max peak CCU would be for Marathon. Early on, when I actually looked at like Marathon followers versus Arc Raiders followers, I had like a wide range that I thought it would fit, which was like 50K to 120K. And then as we got closer to release and we saw the server slam and what happened there, I kind of leaned towards the lower end and I locked in 50K with carry. I thought maybe it'd be 50K. So they surpassed that. But I will say, I think 80K and right now 70K is probably not great for what they want. That said, week 1 CCU is, like I said in the group chat, a function of like curiosity, right? It's like how much interest was gathered before the release. And they can definitely pump those numbers up because after week 1, CCU is more a function of the quality of the game and the commitment of the developer to that game. And so if they are committed to making this a good game, then I think the people will come. But, we've seen with Highguard and with Concord that maybe that is not necessarily common in the industry right now.
So I just want to put in here real quick. I think what Bungie desperately needs to do, because the game is so dense in the beginning. I don't know if you guys seen any like clipped content of Marathon stuff, like people showing highlight reels. It's dull. Like they're like, oh, look how awesome this is. And it's pretty not exciting at all. So whatever this like wait for the review thing to come out, this thing that are better like razzle dazzle people, because they need those GIFs. They need the Helldivers to like boop, 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 like, nonsense going on galore to sell this more. And then if they can catch that inertia of like, oh, look how awesome this is actually, that is what they need. They need a sizzle reel that fits in a GIF that'll razzle dazzle people. And if they can't do that, my fear is that it's only going to get worse. So it's kind of critical that they get this right.
What do you think, DTA?
So I was under the impression that it was early access, and I've watched some gameplay on it. I've seen the UI. I do like the way it looks, much different from everything. I've always been a big Bungie fan, and I was kind of waiting for it to officially release. I wasn't, like I said, I was under the impression this was still early access, like with everything that I've been hearing and seeing. So I think they should have done that and just waited.
Yeah, it came out yesterday now, I think. And I agree with you that I think that, it is really hard on reviewers and just the public in general to like partially release a game like this. And I get where they're trying to get a player base to build up so that they have this awesome experience when it lands. And I think that Destiny, when leading up to Vault of Glass, it all made sense to me at the time. But yeah, it's just really hard in today's environment when you're launching it alongside, competition with things like Arc Raiders. Like it's just very hard to say, hey, try our game that isn't done yet.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just wait until literally the Cryo Archive comes out at the end of March or in the second half of March?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just wait?
Yeah, releasing with Slay the Spire 2 was a bad move.
Okay, I was going to say Carrie and I are going to make the same joke.
Like, what else is releasing with us? Slay the Spire 2 and nothing.
Right.
Like,
We had a all-time peak 11 hours ago of 430,000 players. And right now, as of we're recording this Friday, there's 275,000 people playing Slay the Spire 2.
It's like Marathon people, or like the Bungie community managers are like looking at the CCUs like that Willem Dafoe, like looking up. Like, the chart
I
is so
think
high.
to add credence as well, this is an early access game. This is not the actual launch. This is an early access started.
Wait, Slay the Spire's in early access?
Yeah, it's an early access.
Sure
it's not an
is.
actual launch.
It sure
That's too
is.
funny.
Yep.
Oh my God. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let us know if you guys have played Marathon. I almost said Destiny. Let us know if you've played Marathon in the comments down below. And we're going to move on to our next topic. And I think we got to talk about this. EA just posted a job posting. That was a sentence, I guess I said. But here's the summary here. EA is seeking a skilled software engineer to expand the capabilities of its proprietary anti-cheat solution, Javelin, with a focus on the Linux platform as PC gaming on Linux continues to grow, driven in part by the popularity of the Steam Deck and the broader adoption of Proton compatibility layers. All right. And if you look at the actual job listing, it says chart a path for EA Javelin anti-cheat to support additional operating system and hardware in the future, such as Linux and Proton. Russ, we're not at 8% yet. At least we're past that for English only and Linux. But what do you think?
I think this is a sign of, just more people getting on board, and I mean, are there EA games specifically that do not play? I don't even know what EA is anymore, right? I think Star Wars games is what I think of. I don't even know what they produce anymore. So are there any games that you can't play on Steam Deck or Linux that are EA games? I'm thinking Fortnite and Destiny. These things aren't EA games. So what does this lead in the future? Is there anything that we can't play right now?
Apex Legends was the big one. I think they were Steam Deck compatible, and I want to say they took it away, right? They did.
It worked, and then they yanked it.
Yeah, and then more recently, Battlefield, right? That's the other big EA game that doesn't have Linux compatibility.
Also,
that's fair.
The EA Sports FC, Madden, all of the sports games.
Yeah, so then that's fair to me. I think that it makes sense that they are trying to bring it to more people. And the fact that they're going to invest in a person to do that just means that they are going to invest in that platform, which means they see that as a growth potential. And so, I would say that's a good sign for Linux. Maybe not a huge sign. It's not Fortnite, but it's something.
ETA, do you think that this is a domino, or is it just are the dominoes spread too far apart for EA doing this to start to get other publishers to do this?
Yeah, I don't know how much I would play, all of the sports games on the deck, or even the Steam machine itself, but Battlefield coming over would be pretty awesome, and be able to boot it up and play it there would be pretty amazing. I don't know the player base on that right now. I thought it did pretty well. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll have to, I don't know if someone else can
I'm looking it up right now.
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh,
we're all looking it up. I'll look up Battlefield 6.
While you guys are doing that, one thing that many publications probably didn't cover at all, the ones that did kind of glossed over it, is that this is actually a position for ARM. It is an ARM anti-cheat developer.
Right.
The Linux thing, I assume that the Linux thing is not ARM specific, but I assume the Linux thing is almost like a secondary. Like, also make a plan for this, right? Like, first port Javelin to ARM, and then also, if you can make a plan for the Linux thing, that'd be awesome too. At least that's how I read that job description. Russ, it looks like you have that number pulled up.
I do. So Battlefield 6 came out in October of last year. So it's been out for almost 6 months. All-time peak was 747,000 players, and now it's at 46,000. So it's still that's not bad numbers compared to Marathon.
That's half a marathon.
That's half a marathon, yeah. Now on that Linux, the charting a path is interesting because, I don't know, maybe Carrie, you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's really only two options, right? You either make a user space anti-cheat, and for all intents and purposes, and that's what BattleEye does, right? But for all intents and purposes, a user space anti-cheat is essentially security theater, right? It's not doing any of the anti-cheat stuff that they want it to do. So it will scan game files for known cheat signatures. It will check game binaries to make sure they match expected hashes.
Yeah.
It will even do periodic screenshots to see if you have wall hacks and stuff like that. But what it does not do is it does not block the user from accessing the memory of the game. It does not block the user from altering their drivers. It does not.
Yeah, a bunch of things. You can masquerade a bunch of stuff. You can do a bunch of things that it thinks is doing, but you're not.
You know what I get from this? You guys are cheaters.
You sure know a lot about this stuff, guys.
I've never cheated in my life. I've actually never cheated in an online game, but I did my research, right? So go ahead, Carrie.
I'm just saying, take a screenshot, right? There's a thing that you can do of it's going to take a screenshot. I'm in the kernel. Here, have that.
Right. So
this
that's
is
cute.
Yep, looks good.
That's cute of you. You took a screenshot, and I control the thing that makes the screenshot.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I still come back to the ultimate thing that, we really, when Xbox Live has a lot to blame, as like a lot of blame here, because when they went to the peer-to-peer method is when they decoupled a lot of the security from having
Yeah.
it on the server
Yeah.
side. And server side anti-cheat, I feel, is a far better way about going about it, rather than trying to do this on the host side of like scanning a whole bunch of stuff, because not for nothing, it doesn't work perfectly. And if it doesn't work perfectly, why am I loading this stuff? Why am I spending my computer's resources on running this thing? Why am I doing? And then this thing is like, if we have like a Windows side and it's kernel level anti-cheat, now you have something that the security of that thing is now beholden on you, and I have to hope that some hijacker doesn't get into your side that
Yes.
then just
Yes.
deliver a payload on my side. So there's like a whole bunch of things that I don't want this crap on my system at all.
Yeah.
So this should only ever be server side, and I think like we have talked about this before, is like the where it's not out yet but it's still in like beta or whatever, is the whatever the next generation of VAC is. I feel like that is the actual goal that they should be going towards, and we should be going back to server-based matchmaking instead of peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer should be fallback, and at that point, it's up. It is what it is. Play custom games with friends so that you're not cheating, and that basically what it comes down to. So ultimately, you're right. Sorry for the digression, but that's yeah.
And so that was one option, and I guess the picture I'm trying to paint is I would not want this job, right? Like to chart a path forward seems. It's riddled with mines, right? This path forward. So that is one option, is the user space option. The second option is like work potentially with other big publishers to collectively convince Valve to agree to like give the user an option to install a EA kernel module or a big publisher kernel module that allows them to get kernel level access and kernel level anti-cheat. And I can't imagine Valve doing that.
Yeah.
I hope they
please
don't.
let us have full control.
Exactly.
What's that, Gary?
As like, please let us have full control of everyone's stuff. Please.
Yeah.
Please understand. we need that. And it's like, Valve is like, wait, we have VAC. Just use VAC. And they're like, wait, hold on. Does that give me direct access to people's machines?
Yeah.
Like, no. Oh, no. I still want that.
But I've seen no shortage of people complaining that VAC is not good enough. Like, you look at Team Fortress 2.
Right.
It's a shit show.
So
I haven't played in years, but from what I understand, it's a shit show.
The new thing of VAC, I am very interested in it, and the AI, like insofar as AI actually looking at a game, because how could you watch thousands and thousands of things? It's untenable. It's a Sisyphean type of task. You would never accomplish it with any sort of human resourcing, right?
Before you continue, I should clarify, at least as far as we know so far, it is not LLM based AI or Gen AI. It is machine learning and neural whatever, right?
For VAC 2.
For VAC 2, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm only know of it like being like kind of an experimental thing, and they're still kind of fine tuning it. Ultimately, what my point is that I feel like matchmaking with an LLM on the server side, looking at everything and like making determinations of like, it. I don't know if you guys ever do like software defined radio, software defined WAN, software defined networks. You can do some really interesting things like Guardicore and other stuff where you can tag events. And when you tag events, you are now looking at things and you're like, oh, okay, what is this? And it's like, oh, this is that person and he uses SSH to go over here. And it's like, okay, do we want to allow this? Yes. And it's like, hey, wait, why is this person randomly just doing this at 3 a.m.? Like, he never does that. We're going to block this. Like, there's these things where it can learn, and you kind of tag things, and then it starts noticing things and will, based on whatever metric you have, either clamp it down or allow it, flag it, do whatever. And then you can have far more narrow use cases of like, this looks like cheating. Someone should take a closer look here. And then you can narrow it in, get a person to look at it, instead of letting an LLM just making decisions. But I'm just saying, like, there's all these things that you can do to get to a point where it is ubiquitous. When I mean ubiquitous, I mean across multiple multiplayer games, because it learns how the games are played by people and then says, wait, this is whatever's going on here. This person suddenly became Superman. I don't know how that happened, but that's unusual. And I'm going to flag that. So I feel like that's like the ultimate end goal. And hopefully we get there and as a generality, but we gotta escape this kernel level thing for many reasons.
Yeah, I think Microsoft tried to, like, when CrowdStrike hit, they were like, yeah, maybe this is a bad idea. And the EU was like, oh, no. If you have access, you got to give everybody access.
Yeah, that Microsoft lost that before CrowdStrike. But like that whole thing, that EU regulation kind of allowed kernel level everything to happen way back when. And then we got to the point of CrowdStrike where everything went down because of that one driver that was just like, here you go, install. And it's like, okay, I'm broken now. And then everything went down. And then people were like, why'd you do that, Microsoft? And it's like, we told you not to do that.
We've been talking about this for a while, and I do not remember who has and has not had a chance to say anything. Does anybody have anything that they want to say about this Linux thing before we move on? All right, we're going to move on to our next topic, but not before I ask you guys to leave comments telling us what you think. Is this a win for Linux, or is it just something that like an also ran, like Rich said? Let us know what you guys think, and we're going to move on to our next topic. PlayStation might be charging you more than they're charging other people. Saw this today. Sony is secretly A/B testing PlayStation Store prices, showing different users different prices for the same games. PS prices detected an experiment identifiers revealing Sony randomly assigning users to control and test groups with price differences with a bunch of different games. Basically, there's a screenshot that showed like Assassin's Creed Unity at two different prices depending on whether or not you're logged in or logged out. And if you were logged in, it charged more or something. This is kind of crazy to me. I don't know how, like, I mean, it's just screenshots. Anybody could have made this stuff up, but it feels like this feels really shady. What's your reaction to this, Rich?
Yeah, so I hate this, right? And so like it's commonly called dynamic pricing. I call it price discrimination, and it does exist in a lot of places. A lot of people will say that. So it exists in airlines, hotels, Amazon, Instacart. I think it sucks in all of those places, and I think it's like, to me, it's sort of the legality of it. Like, it's legal, but I think it's legal because lawmakers. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Wait a second. Did you say Instacart?
Yeah.
Isn't that where what's her name's from? Asha?
She is. Yeah. That's right. She was the CEO of Instacart, probably around the same time. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's going to be called Xbox Dynamic Pricing.
Right. That's going to be the name of the console. Dynamic pricing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
no.
DP.
Oh, no. All right, I have to go now, guys. I'm sorry.
I ruined Rich's point. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I think I think the fact that it's legal is probably because lawmakers either don't understand or just don't care to regulate. Like, I don't think that something like this should be legal, in my opinion. Yeah. Xbox DP. I'm done. I'm ruined.
Yeah. I'm like, because like the dynamic pricing is like, oh no, I'm getting DP, and it's
But this at the beginning of the podcast.
It hits home.
Wait, I don't know what you guys mean by that. Go ahead.
Don't Google it.
Don't Google it.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to.
Oh my goodness. So let me add to this. Like, I categorically do not like this. Like, it makes me think of my cable company. Like, if I call them and threaten that I'm going to leave them, they'll be like, oh, well, how about $10 less a month? You know what I mean? Like, why couldn't you have done that already? You know? So I don't like that stuff in general. And I personally feel like I would actually benefit from this because I'm never on the PlayStation store. I'm never buying the stuff. So I feel like they're going to try to get me. You know, it's like Audible. Audible does this all the time. I don't know if you guys ever use them for ebooks, but it's like just sign up for their like trial and it'll be like, oh, $1 a month for 3 months and then cancel. And then they'll be like, oh, if you cancel, you know, we'll give you 50% off for the next year. You like, they always have these crazy deals, but you have to be at the like, and in the mood to cancel in order to get it, right? And I'm in the mood to cancel PlayStation most of the time, right? So I feel like I would probably benefit from lower pricing like this, but I don't like them doing this in the first place. Maybe it's because we're all Americans, but we want straight talk. You know what I mean? Just give us the real message, all fluff or no, all stuff and no fluff or whatever is what's his name says. So yeah.
I love that you're like, we're all Americans and we want the straight talk, but guess what? We need the Europeans to step in and fix this because the American governments aren't going to make PlayStation stop doing this. We need the EU to say, hey, that's not okay because they got, consumer protection stuff over there.
The ironic thing too is that all stuff and no fluff is from Mr. Sujano, who's Canadian, but anyway.
That's right.
There's a part of me that feels like the way that they are, even in the Resetera thread, they had used the word discount. And the way that even in what people are using the own like terminology. Go ahead, Rich. Before I step on anything, go ahead and.
My thing is dumb, but I'll say it. I'm just happy you said Resetera. There is no correct pronunciation of that word, people. It's you can say Resetera like etc., or you can say.
I always pronounced it NeoGAF.
Oh no. Yes, or you could say Reset Era like Reset Era. Sorry, continue, Carrie.
Yeah. So in the Resetera thread, someone said it was a discount, like a dynamic discount, and I am fully like again, this is like a larger umbrella topic that we've been talking about earlier, and we mentioned it before with like Linux needing age verification, and you look at the UK with their age verification, and all of these are building blocks of like how do we determine who is online and who they are. And like even for like the US part of things, like when like for licenses, now we have Real ID. Real ID is now mandatory at airports. Failing that, you need a passport to get on. So you need a Real ID license before anything. And that Real ID is like all of this work that they're doing.
I just want to clear something up for anybody who's watching this who is not American. Most Americans don't have passports. That's all.
Right. So we are like getting to this Real ID thing, regardless of that someone has a passport or not. This is a mandatory thing that like the next license that you get must be Real ID. So this Real ID is age verification, Real ID. You can kind of like say, oh, they have all these things that they're putting together, and the EU is like in that whole thing as well. So I feel like the EU will get fed like the other spin of this. They're like, no. We're not charging people more money, like exactly how much we think that they'll spend. We are dynamically discounting for people that can't afford it. And they're like, oh, so like regional pricing. They're like, yeah, it's like where people can't afford it and we're just being the good guy. And they're like, oh, all right, well, that sounds awesome.
Be the good guy everywhere. Asshole.
Yeah. Yes. That's my fear is like even in the Resetera thread, people are already using the discount terminology when it is not. It is full DP. We're getting DP'd and it's no good. And even for anything like so, but I feel like all this stuff I made a joke earlier, like MSRP is going out the window and it's just going to be the PSN suggested retail price. And it's that meme of like Jeff Bezos, like when he started Amazon, was like, hey, I'm Jeff Bezos. I sell books. And then the next one, he's got like a military jacket on. He's bald and he's got glasses on. He's like arms across. He's like, my name's Jeff Bezos. I sell whatever the F I want. And like, that's where I feel like PlayStation is right now. It's like, I'm going to price this at whatever the F I want and pray that I include you in my discount program somewhere.
The entire intro of this podcast is just going to be Carrie doing bits, and I cannot wait.
My name's Jeff Bezos.
I just got to find him again. It's hard to find him in the 2-hour timeline.
dude, we got the intro. Definitely has to be that DP one. That one is gold.
Yeah.
All right. So ETA, did I ask you about this?
No, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, I know Rich mentioned airlines and stuff like that. Every time we book a hotel or book an airline or anything, I won't log in. My wife will. Even like our recent Disney trip, I'm not even kidding. Dude, the Disney trip was $1,200 less for me not logged in because they knew with her account, she's a Disney fan and she'd buy it anyway. So it was
Wow.
$1,200 difference for the exact same thing.
Next
I
time
wasn't
buy
logged
something,
in.
I'm going to the friggin' library.
I'm like, this is insane.
A
Just
call
use the
from a
Wi-Fi
payphone.
there. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like the only like area of attack that we can do is to like DP them back and just make like an open claw and just constantly looking at prices until it's like what we want it to price and be like, once it gets this price, just buy it for us, please. Like, just buy me those airplane tickets. Just let me know that they bought it, whatever it is. But up until then, and then they're gonna,
And that's that people are definitely doing that open claw like that.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let us know what you guys actually, you know what? Let's all pick a game. Assassin's Creed Unity. That's the one in the screenshots. Everybody try logged in and logged out and see how much it is on the PlayStation Store and let us know down below because I'm curious how much it costs in different regions. By the way, the screenshot that I saw was in like euros or something, so it was like not in dollars. But I would love to know what you guys come up with in the comments. All right. And with that, I think that we're going to end the show because we're hitting 2-hour mark, and I'm an old man. I got to get to sleep, but not before all these guys tell you about all of their projects that they're working on. ETA Prime. I know everybody knows to go over to youtube.com/ETA Prime, but what are they going to see next time that they go over there?
I don't even remember what I posted last. It's kind of a blur. I just keep
you post like a video a day, right?
You are the hardest working man in
got like a backlog of videos that were I'm not even kidding. I did a build yesterday, the day before. I don't even remember. I don't know what my last video was.
Okay, here's what you guys are going to do. You're going to go to his channel. You're going to tell him which video was the one that was today. Just go there and don't even mention the podcast. Just go there and be like, I saw this video today. Russ, what are you working on, dude?
So before I say that, I just want to say, ETA Prime, thank you for coming on because you could have recorded 3 videos in the time you were on with us. So I appreciate taking away from his livelihood, though. So I am working on a video it'll be out by the time this comes out, but Xbox emulation on Android. So there's this new app called X1 Box, not confusing at all, but that app is a port of ZMU or XMU for Android.
That's, by the way, going to be the name of the next Xbox.
X1 Box.
Yeah.
DP. And
plus.
So this, it's a port of the desktop one. So this guy ported it over to Android and then put it on the Google Play Store and then charged $8 for it. But the interesting thing is that ZMU is open, like free, open source, free, and all that stuff. So part of the licensing is that he has to put his source code online as well as part of the requirement in order to have this. So he did that. He's charging $8, but then put all the source code on GitHub, and then some hero took all that source code and then compiled it and then released it for free. And so you can get it for free just right on GitHub. And so that's the one I'll be linking to. I just personally, a developer can charge whatever they want for their work, and no shame against that. But I would want your $8 to go towards the team who actually made all of that emulation development possible. And the port is awesome. Love that they did it. But I don't know. I would love to see like a monetary split or something like that. So I'm going to encourage people to use the free one. And I already finished the video. I actually finished it like 10 minutes before we started recording. So that'll be out tomorrow. So the day before this goes live. And just showing how it plays on like the Retroid Pocket 6 and the Odin 3. And then also loading up Linux. So, there's Rocknix, which is an operating system that you can load on some of these devices. And it can also play the desktop version of ZMU just natively. And so I showed off performance in that and how it compares with Android and stuff. So that'll be out soon.
Nice.
Very cool. Carrie, what are you working on, man?
So the video that I'm working on now is one that I've been saying I've been working on for a while now, and that's why the Steam Deck 2 won't be ARM. I actually asked ETA if I could use some of his footage that he did on the Red Magic phone that he did for Red Dead Redemption 2 that you were playing on there, or Cyberpunk, one or the other. In any event, I'm going to be using some of ETA's footage on that thing and just talking about, even with Snapdragon 5, all the latest stuff out there, and it's just when you talk about the costs and all that's involved there, we're not there. There actually is a closer model that would be better for us than Snapdragon, but it's going to be for the video, and that's what I'm going to be working on this weekend.
Very cool. Rich, what games you been playing, man?
Yeah. So first, I also ETA Prime, thanks for being on. I think we've all cut our teeth watching you, right? Like, so this is awesome. And there are a lot of actually nice people in the handheld YouTube community, but even amongst them, you are one of the nicest. You helped me out when I had like no subs and I was having a problem with some random handheld. So yeah, thanks for being on. I have been playing Slay the Spire 2. So I played a couple hours last night. So I was among, I think, the 430K. I actually never really played Slay the Spire 1. Like, I played enough of that and enough of another Slay the Spire clone to know what I was doing once I started the game. But this was really my first introduction, and I am digging it so far. So I'm happy to dig in some more.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have been hanging out with us for 2 hours. You could have been anywhere, but you decided to hang out here, and I appreciate it. And we will see you hopefully on the next episode. From the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill, and these guys are going to say goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.